everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into another fun-filled episode of the Twilight Zone. This time it is Season 4, Episode 11, The Parallel. Came out March 14th, 1963. Another episode I haven't seen before, but before we get started, let's jump into what you had to say about last week's episode, No Time Like the Past. Marcus Fields, 1996, says, "This is probably my second favorite time travel episode behind Walking Distance. The time travel episode Back There from Season 2 where the guy tries to save Abe was shown to me in high school by my history teacher, and I bought the entire series on DVD soon after. I was hooked. That was my first time seeing the show and not just hearing about it. This show has a bunch of well-written time travel episodes, and I hope future scriptwriters are taking note, me included. There's at least one time travel episode in the next season from what I remember. I'm definitely looking forward to your reaction to it." I look forward to any Twilight Zone episode, especially the time travel episodes. And I just like time travel stories in general, whether it's books, movies, or television shows. My favorite movie of all time, maybe in the top 3, I kind of jump around a little bit and mix it up, a lot like an IMDb top 3 movies of all time. The Godfather and Shawshank seem to always take the number 1 spot from one another, and I kind of have the same problem. It's either going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark, or it's going to be Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, the classic from 1985. That's what I enjoy. It's one of my favorites, especially when I fly. I know exactly that movie is 2 hours long. If I'm going to do a 2-hour flight, I like to stick that movie in. It's my happy place. But yeah, I definitely look forward to that next time travel episode in Season 5, especially since the episodes in general for next season are 30 minutes long. We've had 2 strong episodes back-to-back so far, and I am maybe going to enjoy this episode as well. I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, the last 2 are probably going to be in my top 5 unless we have a strong lineup of strong episodes coming up in the future when it goes to Season 4, but we'll see. David Marcard 9034 says, "I think what this is showing is the concept of inevitability." That's a word I always have an issue with. If Booth had somehow not gotten to Ford's Theater to kill Lincoln after the play, there would have been a Confederate sympathizer in the lobby with a bomb. As for Hitler, there were about 100 attempts to assassinate him over the years. The vast majority were crude, stupid attempts that either got the would-be assassin captured or killed. But there were a small handful of attempts that almost succeeded. Yeah, I mean, there was that movie with Tom Cruise. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It is called... I'm having a hard time figuring it out right now. But my future self will put it up right here. But yeah, I mean, these are individual stories written by different writers for the most part. I mean, there are some writers that do show up and write a lot of stories for Twilight Zone. But, I mean, it's all written by different people. We have different thoughts, different ideas. And that's the great thing about the Twilight Zone. We don't have to have the same thoughts and ideas on time travel. Maybe the Twilight Zone isn't just one zone. Maybe it's a multiverse of different stories. Kimberly Armstrong, 2929, says, "I really like this episode. I'm a tad biased since I love history and time travel. As for changing history, who wouldn't want to try to change tragic events from the past, especially if it involved someone you cared about? Thanks for another great reaction." Hey, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Kimberly. Definitely I do. But at the same time, I've seen those stories where if you change anything in the past, it could make your present worse. You never know. I mean, maybe if we did go back in time and kill baby Hitler, which is going to be hard to do. I think I would wait till he was maybe a little older where I don't feel so horrible about it. You know, I mean, killing innocents is just not great. Actually, Twilight Zone did touch on this in the 2000s. It's like one of the few episodes I've seen in the early 2000s show where Hitler, I think it's the first episode, where Hitler is taken out as a baby and given to a different family, I think, to be raised by somebody else. But the baby that ended up taking over Hitler's spot, since they were like changed places, still became a dictator and a tyrant. Or maybe that was Hitler all along, and that was always supposed to be what happened. I don't know. Depends on your depiction of time travel, the laws that we end up going by. Ray says, "This is a episode that didn't need to be an hour, showing us the 3 failed tries was unnecessary, telling us would have worked just as well." Well, yeah, that is true as well. I can't really deny that maybe you can just show it all happening in one room like they have done in past episodes. But at the same time, we've had people that were stating, or what I have read, that this could have been an hour-long episode. This could have been a movie, and maybe this was very well condensed into an hour-long show. It's just funny what people's depictions of episodes end up being at the end of the day. Charles Stewart 8009 says, that last town he went to reminded me of Willoughby. By the way, I live in a small town in Indiana. I live in a small town in North Georgia. It's a nice, quaint little place. I definitely enjoy it. It's getting cool up here. This is why I'm wearing this kind of hat. I got the heater going, so I'm enjoying the weather so far. I want it to be a little warmer than it is right now, but I'm dealing. And funny thing, that was the town that they used in A Step at Willoughby. It was mentioned in the comments, actually the trivia part that I do at the end of every video. Before I go and sign off, I like to read a little bit of the trivia for each episode. So stay around for that when I'm finished with this episode, and you will hear some of the trivia on what we're about to see. CBCW76 says, Dana also stars in a film about a man trying to stop Lincoln's assassination. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know what film that was. There was another activity that people enjoyed, conversation. Yeah, it's true. People didn't like the conversation by that. And they continue on saying, by the way, in 1900, Teddy Roosevelt was preaching colonies in the Far East. He wanted to annex Korea before Japan or Russia did. How foolish. But he even sent his eldest daughter by ship to open those discussions, and instead she met a young man on that ship and got married, forgetting Daddy entirely and starting her own life. Teddy's imperialist dreams were the fodder for the wines 30, 40, 50 years later. That's kind of funny. It would probably make for an interesting movie if they haven't made one already. It's probably something that I probably would overlook, but the story itself sounds intriguing, that the daughter went and fell in love and said, screw it, I'm going with you instead of what Daddy wants. So thanks for letting me know that. Test says, this episode could have easily been a movie. Hey, look at that. Somebody else with a different opinion in my comment section. See, I think any story in the Twilight Zone could be made into a feature film, and it's been proven already. We had that one that was based off of, Final Destination was based off of a Twilight Zone, I think episode, maybe season 3. I'm not exactly sure. No, I think it was like season 2. And there were several others. I think Poltergeist was another one that came from the stories of Twilight Zone. I make a lot of mention to different movies that actually I feel have been things that came from the Twilight Zone, whether it was from somebody who wrote a script years later that actually wrote the episodes of the Twilight Zone, or it's somebody who watched it as a kid and grew up and they ended up deciding to extend that story in a different way. Rick Kinnett 143 says, Driscoll talking about war at the dinner table is Serling speaking from the heart and his own experiences in the Philippines during World War II. Yeah, I agree. The guy did go into World War II. I'm sure he saw some nasty things. And anytime he probably heard that in the United States when he got back home, people talking about war and we need to go and do this and we need to take over that country. I'm sure he looked at him and went, you know how many people died just to stop some tyrannical moron trying to take over the world? I mean, we don't want that. We don't need that. Nobody should want war. Jonathan Stein says, a great time travel story. Like others here have said, it could have even worked as a full-length film. See, I told you, I do agree with you there. There's a lot of people that are going to have different opinions, and I kind of agree with this. I do believe this could have been made into a feature film. This might have already been made into a feature film. I can't really think of one right now. Kindle Square says, this is a good episode and I enjoyed it. It goes to show you that you can't change time. If you do, you only make it worse. Even Superman's father told him not to interfere with the human history. It only gets worse. That's true, but there are some instances like Back to the Future where if you do mess with time a little bit, even though it was a possibility that Marty McFly was going to be taken out of time altogether and not exist at all, ended up making his future a lot better for him, his parents, and made things a lot worse for Biff. So I guess it just depends on what story we're telling, but yeah, it just depends, I guess, on the situation as well. Steve2474 says, while there are some of the hour-long episodes that would have benefited being in the hour-long format, The Bard and I Dream of Jeannie, this is one episode that I think would have worked well as a feature-length film. This could have even given time to develop more depth. Both Paul Dracul whose heroic yet doomed attempts at alter history, but also to further develop the obvious romantic interest between him and Abigail. I really liked the chemistry between Dana Andrews and Patricia Breslin. It also would have given time to show the emotional attachment he had for his new home in the 1880s that he had to pull himself from. I would have dropped the Hiroshima scene in order to allow more time for that in this format. I really sympathize with Dana Andrews' character. The 20th century up to that point had been a bloodbath, and peace came at an extraordinary cost. He was obviously very pessimistic about the future because, as a physicist, he knew the destructive potential of modern weapons. The man was just mentally exhausted. This is one of the more mature entries of the series, while being a very underrated episode by fans, but it was one of my favorite episodes. The scene at the dinner table is one of the most powerful ones of the series. I agree, that was a very powerful part of the episode, or part of the show as a whole. I think it really resonated with me as well. Resonated. Old Hog Lake says, the irony with the first video is that was a modified Japanese infantry rifle he was using to take out Hitler. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. I know things about guns. I know how to shoot them. I know how to use them. But I can't really tell what kind of weapon it is, what country it's from, just by looking at it. But yeah, thanks for letting me know, Old Hog Lake. And I love the name. Medium John Silver says, the man selling medicines from his horse cart, Professor Elliot, played by Malcolm Arterbury, seemed awfully familiar. Then I realized I saw him selling a medicine from another horse cart as Henry J. Fate in Season 1's Mr. Denton on Doomsday. Fate works in strange ways. I bet he was used for the same reason, because it's like fate is just always going to play its part in these stories in some way, in some fashion. And maybe that's why he was placed there, for other people to go, oh, hey, isn't that fate? Yeah. But yeah, I didn't realize that until you pointed it out. So thanks for letting me know that. And with that being said, that's the last comment. I enjoy all the comments. Very much appreciate them, guys. And let's dive into the episode and see what we're getting into.
The Twilight Zone.
Will he be going up soon?
About an hour, that's what Colonel Conacher said.
Oh, he's blasting off.
Do you want to go back to sleep? I don't blame you. I can't sleep either. I'll make some coffee for me and some cocoa for you, and then we'll turn on the television set, okay?
I'm sure I would be worried as well if my spouse was heading up to the space.
Be safe, darling, and come back.
Because the environs overhead, the stars, the sky, are all part of a vast question mark, known as the Twilight Zone.
The Parallel.
Pulse normal?
Someplace between nonchalance and panic.
I called Helen. She's fine. Says to tell you they'll be waiting.
You got any messages for the angels?
Give them a kiss for me, any that you meet.
Kind of an odd feeling, knowing I'll be moving around the earth for a week.
And when you come back down, maybe we'll be that much closer to filing a claim on some more sky.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks a lot.
The MX-10 countdown is now T-minus 25 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 1, 0.
I do like that they're kind of building up the suspense of it. They're taking their time with this story a little bit. We get to see him blast off, typically in a mission, approaching the planet and going, what is this down there?
Spacecraft is almost over.
Phoebus 10, Bermuda. Capcom Tech on HF.
Phoebus 10.
Phoebus 10, your voice transmissions are starting to fade very badly.
I've lost contact with you.
I've lost radar here. I've lost radar.
Capcom, this is Phoebus 10.
Oh no! What happened? Did he die? This episode seems, I don't know, like the camera movements are a little more artistic, I guess. It almost feels like a feature in a way.
What happened?
Well, we were waiting for you to wake up to tell us, Bob.
Can't tell you anything. I blacked out.
Boils down to this, Gaines. You're the only one who can explain it.
I had an odd sensation. The last thing I remember is the 15th orbit. I couldn't reach the Cape at all. I kept trying. I won't be any clearer than I am right now. How could you lose me on radar?
Just one last question, please.
What happened? Like, actually.
There's only one way you could head back toward Earth. Your spacecraft was found intact 46 miles from where you were launched. There was no evidence of any damage, not even a dent. Would you please explain to me how you performed an absolutely impossible act?
I had nothing to do with it. I blacked out, General. I simply blacked out.
That's crazy.
You'll simply make the statement that he regained entry and he landed. He's shaken up but not seriously hurt. After we've been able to probe this thing a little while, we might be able to come up with something we can let go. You get some rest, Bob.
Sleep it off. There's an explanation for everything. You sleep it off, and I'll see what I can do about getting you a leave to get on home. So rest easy, pal.
All along, I thought there was some kind of malfunction up there. Maybe astronaut Robert Gaines went off the tracks. Maybe he couldn't cut the mustard.
You talk like that. You think like that, and you'll come around to believing it. I'll call Helen again and tell her you're resting and you'll be home soon. Unless you persuade all the people around here that you need an attendant. Dream good. I'll see you later.
A man is sent up into space and then he orbits. He's lying there on that bed breathing 5 by 5. Where was he for 6 solid hours when nobody in the world could find him? How did he make a re-entry without burning up into a flake?
Sometime we'll have to ask him.
I'll talk to you later.
No question about it.
Welcome home.
Is that what you did for therapy while I was gone? Put up that fence? That fence wasn't there when I left last week.
That fence was there when we bought the house.
I
Yeah,
guess.
so it appears.
All right, well, that's the first weird thing to happen since he's been back. We've been waiting.
America's latest manned orbital spaceflight ends on a note of mystery today, but that for the moment, all aspects of astronaut Gaines' flight would continue to be top secret.
I'm going upstairs and put on a bathrobe. I'll be right back. Both you and Maggie have been treating me like a cross between an eccentric millionaire and a piece of fragile Dresden. I'll get my own bathrobe, woman. Be right back.
Stop being caring, damn it. Uh-oh. What do we see? More of those.
Some chicken colonel back at the base is going to be running home in his undershirt. Want to hear something funny? I ran off with somebody's shirt. A full colonel's, no less.
You're a full colonel and you don't even know it. Oh crap, it's in the picture too. You're a full colonel. You didn't even know it. The show's called The Parallel. Parallel world. Across a different plane. Didn't realize he broke some kind of barrier.
Bob, are you all right?
Helen, when I left, when I walked out of here, what was my rank? Wasn't I a major? Haven't I been a major for 13 months? Helen, I want you to tell me.
You're a colonel, Bob.
How'd that happen? What did I do?
I know you don't want to talk about it. That's why we haven't said anything, but...
Some distortions. Like that fence outside the house. And yet you said it had been there when we bought the house. It's insignificant, really. It all seems to be part of some sort of crazy pattern. Something is very wrong. And those eagles have never been on my collar before because when I left here, I was a major.
We're going to have to commit you.
I'm sure there's nothing wrong with you but a couple of fixations that are going to go away with time. Let's go downstairs and have a cup of coffee.
Sounds great.
What if other things?
Just kiss me and shut up. Something's different. What's the deal? What just happened? What just happened?
I'd like Colonel William Conacher, please. Going to call Bill Conacher to ask him if he'd like to come over for dinner. I just called Bill to have him give me some reassurance.
I'm all right. It's you people I'm worried about. Where's my coffee?
I'll get it for you.
Helen, I think it'd be a whole lot better. A whole lot better if we dropped all the pretenses. I'd consider it a real favor, a major favor, if you wouldn't walk past me on tiptoe with forced smiles and there's nothing wrong with you dialogue.
All right.
Something else is going to be different.
You know, someday I'm going to lose you to a Navy ensign who'll marry you for your father's money and your cooking. You know I don't take sugar.
Yes, you do, Father.
Honey, what's the matter?
Nothing's the matter.
Something's off.
Now tell Daddy what's the matter.
Daddy, you're different.
How am I different?
I don't know, but you are. You are different. There's something wrong.
Maggie?
Was the other version a tyrant or something?
What does she mean I'm different? Have I changed somehow between now and when I left?
I can't explain it to you. I don't know how.
But I have changed, haven't I? Child sensed it. You have too. You have, haven't you?
Yes, I have. It's just that you're not the same somehow.
Lane? Personality off? What?
Tomorrow I'll turn myself in for psychiatric help. I don't know what it is that happened. Something did. Something so remote we can't even put it into words. Until we find out what it is, it's gonna wreck us, Helen.
You found there was nothing he could tell you that occurred in space.
Nothing that he could relate to me.
I wouldn't recommend that he remain here, however. Have him come in at intervals. This is one of those instances where the psychology of the situation requires very careful handling.
My concern happens to be very specifically a space project, not a man.
I understand.
Really a very strange collection of delusions. A white picket fence, a story, his own rank, and the last thing he said was he doubted very much if President Kennedy would pin any medals on him.
President who?
I never heard of him either.
Maggie's noticed it too, that there's something different about him. It's something I can't put my finger on.
It's not the same person?
Simply that there's a man in my house, or better, a man in my house who is who.
I think you just overshot me. Unless I'm reading you very wrong.
Reassure me, Bill. This thing my daughter and I have this ice-cold feeling about is way off. Tell us that the man in this house is Bob Gaines.
How are you?
Fine. I just dropped over to see how you were.
I've been going over a set of encyclopedias up there and jotting down some notes. I've uncovered some very revealing items. For example, he talks about a man named Anderson who was sent by the United States government to supervise the construction of the Panama Canal. And it happened to be a man named Goethel. I've got dozens of items like that. Historical events that I know happened a certain way. The things I remember are not delusions. They're the legitimate recollections of things as I remember them. Some way, this world seems to have turned upside down for me. By and large, the people are the same. The names, the streets. It's as if there were another world parallel to mine.
Bob, for the love of heaven.
Do you want to follow that line of reasoning? If you suddenly uncovered a theory that there are two Earths, two sets of people, then you're not who we think you are, and we're not who you think we are.
That's a bummer.
Maggie?
Bob?
I'm so sick of tiptoeing in whispers. Maggie! Come down right away. Think this over before you answer. Tell Mommy and Colonel Conacher who I am. You say whatever's on your mind.
I don't know who you are.
This is your daddy.
I don't know who he is.
You've taken a little child, impressionable.
I merely let her say out loud what Helen's been thinking all along. Heaven help me, what I've been thinking.
Now, what do you do in this predicament?
Told me is fantastic. It's incredible.
I helped build that spacecraft.
So I'm curious, is he going to get into that spacecraft and try again?
It's almost a twin to it, down to the very last nut and bolt, but it's simply not the same spacecraft. It's almost as if it came out of the same mold, and the wiring, and in the structure. You add them all up and you come up with one very irrevocable fact.
It's not the same craft.
Colonel Gaines went up in one spacecraft.
And came in back with another?
But he's obviously come back in another.
Colonel Gaines actually blacked out and has no knowledge of what occurred. Or two, that Colonel Gaines is not who we think.
Well, he's been kind of saying that.
I want you to examine this vehicle carefully. I want you to be able to say to me, without a single shred of doubt, that this is the spacecraft you were sent up in and the spacecraft you came down in. You understand me? What's the matter with you?
I'm hearing things.
There are delusions that a man can suffer under stress. Just try to retrace the chronology from the blast-off through the orbits. I'm talking about a microscopic check now, Bob. Bob, what's the matter with you?
Keep hearing radios.
Don't you hear that voice?
What are you talking about?
That voice. Don't you hear that voice?
No, they can't.
Give you the countdown on retro.
Is he back?
I'll give you a mark. 45. Mark. I am on ASCS now and backing it up manual. The retro warning is on.
Fire.
I'm starting my re-entry now.
Oh, he's re-entering.
The real fireball out there.
What's your general condition? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. Condition is good. There's an awful lot of fire out there. One last question.
Who's the president?
Who's the president of the United States?
Sounds like you're asking who the president is.
I hope you said Kennedy.
Whoa. Did it happen again? Did he black out and he's waking up again?
Open the blinds, nurse.
Yes, Doctor.
Our wandering boy is awake.
Did you hear that last question I asked up there?
You asked who the president is. Was that some sort of a gag? President Kennedy. He lost all contact with you for a period of almost 6 hours. We couldn't find out what was wrong here.
Then you came back in loud and clear.
Is he back on his place, though? I mean, is he where he needs to be?
Something. I know you're not going to believe this. There's another dimension, but there's another world parallel to ours. Most of the same chronology of events, except now and then there's something a little bit different. I was there for almost a week.
We only lost you for about 6 hours.
During that 6 hours, I lived out a week.
Doing what?
Looking at our counterparts, looking at us. It's the world I stumbled into. Some kind of space-time continuum, some warpage. It exists.
How did you get back, Bob?
All I can remember is running toward the spacecraft. And then I was up there again.
Bob, I think, sleep on this for a little while, will you?
Yeah.
Bill, I can recount to you every minute. I could recall to you the streets, the places, everything. This was no delusion. It was no dream.
Talk about it later.
Did anybody phone Helen? Will I be able to leave?
At least for an overnight. I want you back first thing in the morning for some critique. Meanwhile, I'll get some rest, Major.
One last question. If we each have a counterpart and you saw them, where was yours, Bob?
I don't know. I hope he got back.
I'm waiting for that, like, he's not home yet.
Now, what do you think?
I don't think. Not on this one, sir.
Another world parallel to ours? You call that rational?
We don't even know the rules, sir, let alone the facts. We're like little ants that have just made it to the desert. We're only starting to find the mysteries, General. We haven't even begun to solve them. Through a lot of dark space before we find the clues, let alone the answers.
General, there's a message from Capcom, sir. It doesn't make much sense.
Let me be the judge of that. What's the message?
With an unidentified space vehicle. They had voice communication for about a minute and a half. Spacecraft identified itself as Astro 7. He identified himself as a Colonel Robert Gaines.
Hey.
We got some garbled stuff and then nothing. The thing just disappeared.
You keep me in touch.
Yes.
We don't have all the answers. We've got a long way to go.
One thing I'd like to tell astronaut Gaines that his proof just showed up on a radar screen.
We're still in the story, though. So I'm waiting for there to be something different.
Tell me who I am.
What, Daddy?
A latter-day Voyager, submitted to you without any recommendations as to belief or disbelief. Don't bother to ask anyone for proof that it could happen. This happens to be the Twilight Zone.
That was pretty good. Well, that was Parallels. I definitely enjoyed that episode. I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into, but when you see the word parallel, you kind of maybe get that there's going to be a parallel universe that's going to potentially show up in this story. And that's what happened. I kind of figured that might be the case since he does take off in a rocket and something did happen. There was a flash. I kind of had the inclination that he wasn't quite where he wanted to be. It wasn't his home. It was some other place. A parallel dimension is what it happened to be. And it reminded me a lot of a show that I liked in the early 90s called Sliders. Anybody who hasn't seen it or hasn't heard of it, it stars Jerry O'Connell and John Rhys Davies in the roles where they go actually to parallel worlds. Jerry O'Connell is the student, John Rhys Davies is his teacher, and he shows him that there is a portal that takes you to these infinite dimensions of a different world in a different era, time, whatever. And I think it ran for like 4 or 5 seasons. The last season, I think, came out on the Sci-Fi Channel. And it was an interesting show in its day. Probably something that wouldn't work too well today, but I thought it was entertaining nonetheless. And the first episode actually reminded me a lot of this episode of The Twilight Zone, because that one, he goes into this parallel world, and a red light is actually a green light. So green means stop, red means go, and everything's a little bit on the opposite end of the spectrum. But for the most part, he has a mother. He has, everything else that he has in the world that he's in. And that's very much what this show was. Basically everything that the guy was surrounded by, or things that he was very familiar with, but things were just a little off by just like a micron. Whether it was history or whatever was different in the past that made the present what it was. But definitely an episode that makes you think, makes you wonder if there was a possibility of there being parallel dimensions. And in this one, there happens to be. And I did like that there was a happy ending in the end, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, with all that being said, let's jump into the trivia of the show and see what it took to get this episode off the ground. The comic book that Maggie is reading in the living room just before she goes to get her father a cup of coffee is Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds number 32, October 1962, a science fiction title published by Charlton Comics. Appropriately, the cover depiction a man floating helplessly in outer space. Although the phrase submitted for your approval from Rod Serling's opening narration has come to be closely identified with the show and is often used by Serling impressionists, it is heard in 4 episodes: Cavender's Coming 1962, In Praise of Pip 1963, A Kind of a Stopwatch 1963, and at the end of The Parallel 1963 as well. The dialogue spoken by Steve Forrest when he is in the capsule is taken almost verbatim from the capsule communications of John Glenn's Project Mercury first planned orbital mission of Friendship 7. At about 5 minutes in the Capcom Communications Center, the consoles closest to the camera are the same as the Outer Limits 1963 Obit console without the mixing bowl-shaped view screen. It's also seen as Mr. Waverly's overseas relay console, occasionally in The Man from Uncle 1964. Steve Forrest played the protagonist, Major Robert Gaines, in the episode, while his elder brother, Dana Andrews, played the protagonist, Paul Driscoll, in the preceding episode, No Time Like the Past. I didn't realize that. Very similar premise to the film A Journey to the Far Side of the Sun, 1969. When Gaines is talking to Colonel Connors and his wife about his confusion, he refers to the Outer Limits of Sanity. 2 months later, the first episode of The Outer Limits, 1963, another sci-fi show directly inspired and influenced by The Twilight Zone, aired on ABC. There is a moment after Major Gaines has spent the night with Mrs. Gaines where they attempt to embrace and she gives him a hard questioning stare. According to producer Burt Granite, the intent of this interchange was to imply that sexual relations on the parallel world were slightly different from those of Major Gaines' world, and that this had told Mrs. Gaines that he was no longer her husband. Unfortunately, in 1963, no direct mention of sexual behavior even between spouses were permissible, so that the scene is really too subtle to communicate this implication. Yeah, it made me go, huh, when it happened. I thought it was something that was different when she, kissed him. And you can take it that way. I mean, I kind of took it that way, that something was off. But I'm glad that kind of went through and gave me a little bit of an explanation. In the parallel universe, the World War I flying saucer Eddie Rickenbacker was never found after the B-17 on which he was traveling disappeared on October 21st, 1942. In Gaines' universe, Rickenbacker and the other survivors were found in a lifeboat adrift in the Pacific Ocean on November 12th, 1942. He died on July 23rd, 1973 at the age of 82, more than 10 years after this episode was broadcast. Well, that's it for this episode. Let me know, comment below what you thought of it, and I will go over your comments in next week's episode. Until next time, see you later.